You know, we see these absolutely massive ships crossing our oceans every single day. But what we don't see is this kind of invisible framework that's keeping them and their crews safe. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the global rulebook for shipping. It's called the International Safety Management Code, or as you'll hear us call it, the ISM Code.
See, behind every safe voyage, every single time a ship makes it from point A to point B without a problem, there's a system at work. And the ISM code, well, it's not about what to do after a disaster. No, it's about building a system so solid that disaster never even has a chance to happen.
And I mean, think about the challenge here. It's huge, right? You've got all this complex machinery, a crew that has to be on their A game, weather that can turn on a dime, and literally thousands of tons of cargo. So how on earth do you create a single safety standard for thousands of different ships, all run by different companies? Well, that's where the code comes in.
Right, so the answer was to create one single global standard, a rulebook that applies to everyone, everywhere. And this wasn't just some friendly advice either. This thing was designed to be the absolute foundation of modern maritime safety.
And here it is, the core mission, straight from the source. I mean, it's so simple, but also incredibly ambitious, right? One international standard for managing ships safely and preventing pollution. That's it. Two big goals: keep people safe and keep our oceans clean.
Okay, so what does that big mission actually mean day to day? Well, it boils down to these four core objectives. And you've got to understand, these are totally non-negotiable. The whole point is to build a culture of safety that covers all these bases, protecting people, the planet, and the property involved.
But you know, goals are great, but they're just wishes without a real plan, right? So how does the ISM code actually make this stuff happen? Simple. It forces every single shipping company to create its own unique safety playbook. And that playbook has a name, the Safety Management System, or SMS. Now, the key thing to get here is that this is not a one-size-fits-all manual that you just download. Nope. It's a living, breathing system that each company has to build for its own specific ships, its routes, its cargo. That customized safety playbook analogy, it's spot on. It is their game plan. So how do you build this playbook? Well, there's a clear structure. A company can't just write, "We promise to be safe," and call it a day. They have to define exactly how. They need a clear safety policy, they need step-by-step procedures for literally everything, they need a plan for emergencies, and this is so important, they have to spell out exactly who is in charge of what and how they're going to double-check their own system to make sure it's working. And that brings us to maybe the most important part of all, the people. You can have the best system in the world on paper, but it's useless if the people running it aren't on board. The ISM code gets this, and it is crystal clear about who is responsible for what. It's really best to think of it like a partnership. You've got the company, back on shore. Their job is to build the system, to provide the money, the training, the whole rule book. Then you have the ship's master, out on the water. They are the ones who actually make it happen. They implement the plan, they lead the crew, and, critically, they report back on what's working and what isn't. And listen to this, because this is probably one of the most powerful parts of the entire code. When an emergency happens, when things get real, there is zero ambiguity. The code gives the ship's master total overriding authority. That means they can make whatever call is necessary to save lives, protect the ship, or protect the environment, even if it costs the company money. It's an absolutely essential layer of protection. Okay, so we've got a system. We've got clear responsibilities, but how do we actually know that a company is doing any of this? I mean, who's checking? Well, that's where certification and verification come into play. Basically, it all comes down to two key pieces of paper. First, the company itself gets what's called a document of compliance, or a DOC. That proves their main safety playbook, their whole system, is legit. Then, each individual ship gets its own Safety Management Certificate, or SMC. And that proves that the crew on that ship is actually following the company's playbook. And the rule is simple: no certs, no sail, period. And here's the thing, these certificates aren't forever. They're only good for a maximum of 5 years. And there's a really smart reason for that. That built-in expiration date forces companies to constantly reevaluate their systems. It's a fantastic way to stop people from getting lazy or complacent.
The code is also pretty practical, which is smart. It knows you can't just snap your fingers and have a perfect safety system overnight. So if you're a new company or you've just added a new ship to your fleet, you can get an interim certificate.
It basically gives you a bit of a grace period to get everything up and running and fully tested before you have to go through the whole 9 yards of a full audit. But getting that certificate isn't the end of the story, not even close. The whole point of the ISM code is that it's a living system. It has to be constantly checked, constantly improved through a cycle of audits and reviews. And this is really how the system stays sharp. Companies have to audit themselves internally every single year. They have to look into any accidents, sure, but also any non-conformities or even near misses. They need to figure out what went wrong and put real concrete fixes in place. It's just this constant loop. Check, learn, fix, repeat.
So if you look at that whole 5-year cycle, it's pretty intense. You've got the big initial certification to start. Then you've got these regular checkups along the way, some looking at the company's big picture system, others drilling down on a specific ship, and it all builds up to a massive renewal audit at the end of 5 years. It's a process designed to leave absolutely no room for just coasting along.
And really, that's the big idea here. The ISM code completely changed the game for maritime safety. It shifted the entire focus away from just reacting to accidents and towards preventing them from ever happening. It proves that real safety at sea isn't about having the best life rafts. It's about having a system so good, so robust, that you hopefully never ever have to use them. It shows us that the most important safety work happens long before a ship even thinks about leaving the dock.